So we're going to say Deku also goes to manual. Same does Ida. But Deku goes with manual because, just because. So, Deku, when Ida and him are patrolling the streets, Ida and Manuel see a fire up ahead and they run over. And then they see some Nomu. And Deku, since it's a high-pressured situation, immediately turns into this boy. But since there's also fire, he turns into Flareon. So he ends up turning into a mix of them. Kind of like the ground type one. Kind of looks like both of them. Like a more reddish feel, but the same brown. So, right now he's in his ground type mode. And let's just say he goes up to fight the Nomus. And Ida says he'll be right back. And Menu's like, hey, wait. And then Ida runs off to Stain. And Deku's like, Manuel, I got him. And then he starts running after him. And eventually he finds Ida about to be killed in front of Stain. And then he immediately throws a rock at him. Well, he shoots it more so. And it hits him right in the face. And it makes Stain pass out because that would hurt. Would it knock him out? Yeah, probably. So he gets Ida up, and then he gets Native up, and all the police and stuff come over, and Stain is captured. And then eventually they return to Manuel, and Manuel's like, where were you guys? And then Deku says, well, let's just say we encountered Stain. He's like, is Ida okay? It's like, yeah, he's in the hospital with the Pro Hero Native. He's like, what happened to them? So let's just say I got to them before Stain could finish them. So, Deku, well, the rest of that goes the same. So, next we have the thingamabobber. The summer training camp. So, before that, they have the little swim thing. That happens. Okay. So, they go onto the bus, and then they take their little field trip, and everyone's happy. And that's when eventually they make a pit stop, and then they meet the Wild Pussycats. And then Deku, what's that guy? Deku notices that they're about to crunch the land. He jumps up to try and get back up, but he barely doesn't make it. And then he actually makes like a little pothole with his ground type abilities. And Aizawa notices this and uses his quirk. And then Deku falls down also. He's like, what the heck, Mr. Aizawa? It's like, it's all a part of testing you guys. And then he sees the beast come out of the trees. And he's like, get ready for a fight, class. And then they all go into fight. And then hours later, they start fighting. So Deku, what do you mean hours later they start fighting? They fight until hours later, Deku. Oh, I got a new subscriber. Nihiligo could be cool, actually. An Ultra Beast, imagine that. Cool idea. So remember, guys, shout out to Josana Stokes. And thank you, Monica. So Deku and everyone makes it back to the training camp. And they endure 2 hard days of training. And Deku is put through constantly changing forms in different climates to better get familiar with his forms. So he learns how to use his grass one a lot. That's what he used during the tree beasts. And he's still using that form now. Well, that's what he's in normally. He also uses air, he uses ice, he uses water, he uses dragon, he uses bug, he uses all forms. So you got fighting, you got steel, you got Umbreon, you got rock. Ghost was a hard one to find out. You got psychic, you got poison. This is my favorite one. I call it Poyon. And then Sylveon, you got Flareon, and then you got Eevee on ground type. Yeah, so let's look at Leafeon. So Deku has to endure all that training, and the same Todoroki goes through his fire and ice training. Because now he's being forced to use it with his training because they want him to get accustomed to using his full quirk, but he still doesn't like to use it more so. So, after that, they make supper and everyone's happy. And then eventually one night, yeah, no copyright music. Deku and his classmates are suddenly attacked by the League of Villains. So Deku remembers that weird kid Koda who thought he was pretty cool, and he asks, "Why are you guys here?" And it's like to train to be heroes. And then he only sounded fond of Deku, so Deku goes over to him and meets him in the mountains. And then he sees this other guy about to kill him. And he actually sees it's Muscular. He doesn't know who Muscular is. It's Muscular. Okay, guys. So Deku starts fighting Muscular. He uses Leaf Tornado, uses Razor Leaf, he uses all those moves. But he can't seem to make a dent in his super strong muscles. So eventually, he uses 3 Leaf Tornadoes and launches it at him. And this blinds him for a bit because it cuts him on his eyes. So he takes Koda and runs off. And after they make it a good far away, Deku hears someone in the bushes and then sees it's Toga about to get the blood of Uraraka. And that's when he uses Razor Leaf on Toga's neck and cuts her on the back of the neck. And she falls down like, ow, who did that? And then sees it's this little fox and it's like, why you? And then she throws a knife at it. And Deku dodges it and then throws more Razor Leaves at her. And keeps cutting her like, yeah. And Toga eventually runs off. And Toga and Sue are like, thank you, Deku. And then, it happens. Then eventually Deku meets up with Tokoyami and, someone else. Shoji. And, Dark Shadow is running rampant. So Shoji is currently hiding from Dark Shadow. And Deku's like, maybe we can use Dark Shadow for our advantage against any future villains we see. And then Shoji's like, yeah, we can. So eventually they meet up with, I forgot his name, but the guy with the very long teeth. Never mind, my brother was asleep. So, whoever the teeth guy's name is, that's who they fight. And as always, Dark Shadow creams him. And, eventually, Deku, they get to Bakugo and Todoroki, and, Tokoyami and Bakugo are marbled by why do I keep forgetting all these names? I'm so sorry, guys. Mr. Compress. Deku starts chasing after him, and he uses a giant leaf tornado, and this cuts all over Mr. Compress's suit, and this drops one of the marbles, and it's Tokoyami. So he falls onto the tree, and then he uses Dark Shadow, and it grabs Mr. Compress's foot and then slams him onto the ground, which knocks Mr. Compress out and nearly shatters his spine because he's like 50 feet in the air and then getting slammed with a lot of force into the ground. I can imagine that'll destroy your back. That's not gonna... Yeah, he probably does. Let's be honest, guys. Mr. Compress is dead. So, they get Bakugo back also. So when they eventually find Dobby, Dobby's like, "Where's Mr. Compress?" It's like, "Where's the compressy guy?" And then Deku's like, "Defeated." And then Dobby is surprised, like, "You little twerps." And then he uses a torrent of blue fire, and then it starts burning him all up it starts burning everyone. And Deku, he can't do anything against this. He can only send lots of grass attacks, but they get instantly burned by the fire. So Deku is completely defeated. But that's when he turns into Flareon. And then he starts fighting back against Dobby with his fire. And that's when eventually Deku catches a whiff of the poison because Mustard hadn't been defeated yet. And that's when he also turns, right when Dobby and him had stopped firing for a little, he turns into Poyon. And he then shoots a lot of poison needles at Dobby, and this gets him all over. And now he's poisoned. And this really hurts Dobby. He's like, "When will the pain stop?" And then he starts cutting himself like, "Stop it, stop it, stop it. Stop." And Dobby he's going mad over all the pain he's in from the very bad poisoning that he was just dealt. So then the fumes stop, and Deku turns back to Leafeon because Mustard was defeated by Kendo and Metal Dude, Tetsu. And so Dobby is then captured. Within a torrent of leaf tornadoes, he gets cuts and scabs all over him, and then he falls unconscious. And then right when they're about to capture Dobby, they see Muscular appear out of the bushes. It's like with Toga also. Kind of sad. So Deku gets scared because he knows how strong Muscular is. It's like, "Guys, if we band together, we can maybe defeat him." And then Muscular's like, "No one can defeat me." And then Toga pops out from the back. And then Deku sends a torrent of leaf blades at them. And this cuts Toga on the head, knocking her out also. But Muscular just tanks it completely. So, he's getting hurt, but all the students have to dodge, and that's when eventually Bakugo gets hit in the chest, and this knocks the wind out of him, nearly knocking him out, but he just sits down like, he just lies down like, "I can't do anything. How am I so powerless? I have to rely on the nerds." And then he gets this new burst of energy, and then he jumps like, "Howitzer impact!" And then Muscular jumps up and goes through the Howitzer impact and just hits Bakugo square in the face. hitting him into a tree and knocking him out. And then Muscular is like, which one of you twerps is next? And that's also where we'll be leaving off, guys. This is a back-to-back what if. I just recorded part 2, and now I'm doing part 3. I'm sorry if this one is a bit short, but I'm kind of tired. You heard me yawning in the other one, so stay determined. This is Determination signing off. Bye.
Peter Pan, that's what they call me. Promise that you never be lonely.